actually have almost a universal strategy, and that is to really focus on what the training was meant to solve for and develop a strategy specific to that. I don't have a single strategy that crosses all training programs. With that, every new training program involves a new way of developing that ROI and how we express that. One of the benefits to this is we can clearly demonstrate what training brought to the table. We can differentiate between the effect that training had from other effects, because we are really focused on what the training was supposed to do. We've actually coupled with our other components of training, the instructional designers and our trainers themselves, and we work with them from the very beginning. So as soon as our training organization knows about a program that needs to be developed, we go through our own process of identifying key components of the training so we know how to evaluate it, but we also work with the instructional designers on things such as the learning objectives to make sure that they are written in a way that are in fact measurable. We also do the same thing with any sort of cognitive or psychomotor tests. So we work with them because they are the content experts. We work with them to make sure test questions and performance exams are written in such a way that they are truly capturing the essence of what they want to capture. I think one of the key reasons why organizations should invest in specialists is because we have the tools and knowledge to be able to truly identify those return on investments or those impacts. I think back to my own work as a trainer and instructional designer and my attempts to evaluate training. Number one, I think it can become very self-serving. Of course, the training went well because I developed it and I evaluate it, so I'm only going to share with you the good news. But also, when I think back to my own experiences, I did not have the knowledge and the know-how to be able to measure in a very effective way so that I'm getting the real results rather than some superficial result or some misleading result. So by having a specialist, I think training departments can transform themselves from being some sort of liability or cost center for the organization and truly demonstrate how they contribute. So now they're seen as a value proposition instead of a liability. Earlier this year, we had a pilot program, and this training was meant to provide knowledge and insights to a work team that were granting appeals, and that just means they were granting appeals to our customers, and those customers are getting money back. So it was costing our organization a lot of money when these teammates were granting appeals when they probably shouldn't have. The lack of knowledge was they needed to send certain customers to a different team to really address the true problem. As a result, a lot of money was going out the door. So with this training program, we looked at a pilot group and we did some statistics so we can see, number one, was there a difference in the amount of appeals that were granted and the dollar value associated with those appeals before and after training? Statistically speaking, there was. So we know training had an effect, but was it the result of training or something else in the organization? So then we did a similar test and we compared those who went through training from those who did not. And again, another statistical difference, so we can clearly demonstrate, number one, training did have an effect, and number two, that effect was different for those that went through training versus those that did not. So we were able to pinpoint very definitively training did contribute this result. So then it was a matter of mathematics and adding up what was the dollar value saved, and we were able to show over a 45-day period we contributed to the company a little over $30,000. I think there's a couple key knowledge and skills. Number one is the knowledge of designing evaluation strategies. So this goes beyond simply surveying, but really designing the strategy purpose built for the problem, what it is that we're trying to solve for. So if we liken it to school, this is like your research skills. Then I think the other thing is data collection and data analysis skills, knowing what methods to select to collect data, but then also how you go about analyzing it. And this is where statistics comes into play for a quantitative, which that's what businesses are looking for. One of the things that I've seen so far is it's multidisciplinary. So there are representatives from a wide variety of organizations, both from the participants, but also the speakers. So we get this cross-pollination of ideas. And when I look at it from my perspective, coming from the United States to Australia, I see the added benefit of making those global connections as well. In my current role, I have that, but not everyone does. So to make connections across the world, I think is going to be even a greater benefit than somebody that's right next door.